Hello, welcome to the studio. This week I am starting an occasional series about the tools that I use to hand print at home. So today I'm going to talk you through all the rollers that I use, or I know that some people call them brayers, rollers or brayers. Just to show you the ones that I use, where it's worth spending money or not, as the case may be. So if you like what you see, do click like, subscribe to the channel. There's lots more at ruthander.co.uk. Including artwork to buy and self-paced video courses all about hand printing to buy as well. So if there is one thing that you need to hand print at home, one thing I would suggest that you do actually buy rather than find, it is a roller or brayer. I'm going to use the word roller because that's what I tend to use, and we tend to use that word in the UK. So I've got three here that I use, and they're a range of prices. This one actually is great. Now, this is probably a standard one that you may have come across already, especially if you've done workshops, and it's made by Essdee. That's Essdee. And these are great. They last a long time. They don't fall apart. They're nice and easy movement. It, moves round. It doesn't get stuck. And I like this is that you've got a nice gap between the roller and the handle there, because sometimes when you're using these a lot you get a build-up of ink there, and you do clean them obviously, but sometimes the build-up happens anyway, and it will stop your roller moving round, and it's a bit of a pain, and you have to sort of constantly change it. So there's a nice big gap there, and also they stick. These don't tend to come apart, which is great. So some of the cheaper ones do. So I highly recommend these. I use these for my workshops. They've got a kind of got finger marks there, which I don't tend to use actually, but that's quite good for just controlling your roller. So I often use this size, and I can't remember exactly, that's about 10 centimeters, isn't it? 12 centimeters. I use this size often for rolling straight onto artwork. So you'll probably see that in some of my other videos. It's not really printing, I suppose, it's just rolling ink on, and it's a nice size for that. So yeah, I use them in workshops, I use them in my own work. They will eventually kind of start to go a bit. The roller area will become less flat, possibly a bit warped, but they do last for quite a long time, and they don't fall apart. So they're a good standard budget one to buy, and you can tend to get these in most art shops. That tends to be what they stock. They do come in an array of sizes as well. This is my sort of better one, and although it looks a bit dirty actually at the moment, yes, it needs a really good clean. But this is my better one. This one I bought from greatart.co.uk, who have actually a very good. It's an online retailer, thousands of art supplies, but they do have a good printmaking section. And they have these what they call Japanese style rollers. So these are rubber rollers. This one's been used quite a lot, as you can see, and it does tend to stain a little bit, but it doesn't come out on the work at all. It's stained blue, interestingly, and I think it's because blue paint or ink does tend to just stain for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Again, nice gap between the roller and the metal handle. These bits never come apart, really, as far as I can tell. That is a good quality, and they sometimes squeak a little bit. You might need to add a little bit of oil, but basically apart from that, they last and last and last. The only thing that I've found that, if I use it a lot, and I use them for sort of years on end, eventually again this area will sort of maybe warp a bit, maybe go a bit funny, and that's probably the time when you want to get another one. I can't remember the exact price of these. They're around £25 to £35, and again they come in an array of sizes. So I really recommend these as a sort of in between, not wanting to spend hundreds of pounds on something, but equally wanting something that's a bit more quality. And you really can tell the quality when you roll the ink out with this. It just rolls out a lot more smoothly, it rolls out a lot more evenly, and it's got a really nice feel to it. It's also just because it's a bit heavier, so it's nice to have quite a nice heavy, it does some of the work for you when you're rolling ink out. Also notice this one has got these little, I don't know what you call them, little rest bars on the side here. So if you've rolled your ink out and then you want to put it down, you want to put the roller down but not get ink everywhere, you just rest them on those little rest bars. And that's really useful. The Essdee one also does that, but it's the other way around. So it rests on this area here, and it keeps your inky roller from getting all over your surface or your papers or whatever you've got there. So both have that aspect, but this is quite nice. It holds it right up away from your surface. And then last but not least, you get these kind of things. Now these are, they've got kind of metal, well, yeah, the whole thing is metal rather than plastic, almost kind of like thick metal wire. The downside of that is that these do come apart quite easily, and I've had them fall apart quite a lot. Having said that, this is a nice size, a little size. Again, if you want to just roll a very small amount of ink, just a very little bit of colour, or you want to make a little, sometimes I put colour on and I just push it in as a line, almost like a sort of very soft line. And this is useful for that. So it's nice size and it is quite useful. So I don't use it that often, so it hasn't broken yet. But they're probably my least favourite, and they are quite budget. You'll spend less on this. I'm not quite sure how much this one is at the moment, but it will be less. I would say if you want a standard budget one that you're going to use all the time, go for this type, a bit more solid. If you're looking for just something you're going to use very occasionally for small little areas, then these ones are absolutely fine as well. So there we go, my favourite rollers, and it is worth spending a little bit of money if you think you're going to be printing a lot, or you're really keen on it and you've got a little print studio set up. Start off with these ones and maybe graduate onto the slightly more expensive but very nice ones here.